Jake Morrison was 3 aspirin deep into a hangover that could kill a small horse when the aliens arrived. Not that he knew they were aliens at first. He thought the shimmering portal opening in Docking Bay 7 was just his brain finally giving up after last night's poker game with the engineering crew. Turns out, drinking synthetic whiskey while orbiting a gas giant is a poor life choice. Who knew? Attention. Human settlement. A voice boomed through every speaker on the station. This is Ambassador Thorvix, the Magnifica of the Galactic Prosperity Council. We come bearing the sacred honor of welcoming your species into the greater cosmic community. Jake squinted at his tablet. The station's AI was having a meltdown. Red warnings flashing everywhere. Apparently, the maintenance logs he was supposed to file 3 weeks ago were now the least of anyone's problems. Please present your diplomatic representative for formal processing. Jake looked around the empty corridor. Everyone else had somehow vanished the moment the scanners started pinging, probably hiding in the recycling units again. Last time inspectors showed up, he'd found the entire admin staff crammed into a supply closet. His radio crackled. Morrison, you're the only biosign our sensors can locate. Get down to the docking bay. A maintenance, Jake said flatly. I unclog toilets, literally. I unclogged a toilet this morning. You're also a human and currently vertical. Congratulations. You're now a diplomat. Don't screw this up. The radio went dead. Jake sighed, grabbed his coffee thermos, and shuffled toward the docking bay. His jumpsuit had a stain on it that might have been grease, or might have been yesterday. Lunch? He honestly couldn't tell anymore. The docking bay doors opened to reveal something that looked like a cruise ship had a baby with a crystal chandelier. Ramps extended. An outwalk to being that resembled a 7-foot-tall peacock wearing too much jewelry. Greetings, human representative. I am Ambassador Thorvix. The magnificent. The alien's voice somehow had reverb built into it. You stand before the appointed herald of 17 star systems and keeper of the sacred protocols of first contact. Jake took a sip of his coffee. Jake Morrison. I fix stuff when it breaks. Thorvix's feathers ruffled Sureli you. Where is your diplomatic attire? Your honor guard? Your ceremonial gifts? I've got a socket wrench in my pocket. That Count. A smaller alien scurried forward. This one looking like a nervous ferret in a suit. Ambassador. Perhaps the humans' customs differ from our expectations. I am Klepto, administrative assistant to His Magnificence. Call me Jake. Mr. Jake, Klepto said, stylus poised over a holographic clipboard. We require standard biological and cultural data for integration protocols. This should be handled by your species-designated liaison with proper credentials and security clearance. Yeah, about that. Jake gestured vaguely at the empty docking bay. Everyone else is, busy. It's just me. Thorvix's beak dropped open. Just you? Where's your government? Your military escort? Your cultural advisors? Probably in the cafeteria. It's Taco Tuesday. Taco Tuesday, Thorvix repeated slowly, like the words were physically painful. The fate of your species' galactic standing rests upon this moment, and your leadership is engaged with tacos. To be fair, they're really good tacos. Klepto made a strangled noise. Ambassador, perhaps we should proceed with the standard processing and file a formal complaint later. Thorvix smoothed his feathers with visible effort. Very well, Mr. Jake Morrison, fixer of stuff. By the authority vested in me, by the Galactic Prosperity Council, I hereby initiate humanity's formal integration into civilized space. Please follow me for biological screening and cultural assessment. Do I have to? Unless you want your species classified as hostile unknowns and quarantined for the next 1,000 years. Yes. Jake considered this. Will there be chairs? I'm really tired. Thorvix's. I twitched. There will be chairs. Sold. As Jake followed the aliens up the ramp, Klepto leaned toward Thorvix and whispered, Sir, are all humans like this? Thorvix watched Jake trip over absolutely nothing and catch himself with his coffee thermos. For the sake of the galaxy, I sincerely hope not. The medical bay looked like someone combined a spaceship with a dental office and added way too many blinking lights. Jake sat on an examination platform while Dr. Fenwick, who resembled an excited grasshopper wearing glasses, bounced around him with various scanning devices. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Dr. Fenwick's antennae vibrated with enthusiasm. A completely uncontacted species. The biological data will be unprecedented. I'm contacted, Jake said. You're literally contacting me right now. Yes, but scientifically we have 17,000 member species in our database. Adding number 17,001 is quite the occasion. The doctor pressed a device against Jake's arm. This will just take a small tissue sample. The machine beeped once, then sparked, then made a sound like a cat choking on a kazoo. Before smoke started pouring out, Dr. Fenwick stared at his smoking equipment. That's never happened before. Should I be worried? Let's try a different scanner. The doctor pulled out what looked like a metal detector. He waved it near Jake's head. The device immediately began shrieking and flashing colors that Jake was pretty sure didn't exist on the normal spectrum. Okay, that's definitely not normal, Jake admitted. No. It's probably just a calibration issue. Dr. Fenwick grabbed a larger machine from the wall. This one, covered in impressive-looking dials. This is our primary biological analysis system. Military grade, used for a threat assessment. Nothing can fool this beauty. He pressed the scanner against Jake's chest. For exactly 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then the screen displayed a single word. ERRR. Then another word. Impossible. Then the entire machine started crying. Actual tears leaked from seams Jake didn't know existed. Is your computer crying? Jake asked. The AI is having an existential crisis, Dr. Fenwick said, frantically typing commands. It says your biology violates 7 fundamental laws of physics, and 3 that it just invented to try to explain you. Thorvix burst into the medical bay, Klepto scrambling behind him. What is happening? We heard explosions. The human appears to be, medically speaking, absolutely bonkers, Dr. Fenwick reported. His blood contains compounds that shouldn't be able to exist simultaneously. His cells are somehow both incredibly fragile and ridiculously resilient. And his brain is producing electrical patterns that spell out what I think might be a distress call. That's just my hangover, Jake explained. Your what? Hangover from drinking, alcohol. Ethanol. Every alien in the room took a step back. You consume industrial solvent recreationally? Klepto's voice hit a pitch that could shatter glass. I mean, we call it beer, but sure. Dr. Fenwick checked his database, and his antennae drooped. Ethanol is a class 4 poison. It's used for sterilization and fuel production. Yeah, it does feel like that sometimes, Jake admitted, especially the morning after. How are you alive? Thorvix demanded. Do know. Genetics. My liver's probably just really good at its job. Let me test that hypothesis. Dr. Fenwick drew a vial of Jake's blood, labeled it carefully, and placed it into a centrifuge. The machine began its analysis cycle. 30 seconds later, the centrifuge exploded. Not sparked, not malfunctioned. Exploded. There was a loud bang, a flash of light, and suddenly there were scorch marks on the ceiling. That cost more than my ship, Thorvix said weakly. Your blood just achieved fusion, Dr. Fenwick said, staring at his ruined equipment with something between horror and admiration. It shouldn't be possible. Blood doesn't do that. Physics doesn't allow it. Maybe your machines are just broken. These are Vorelian medical scanners. They are the finest in the galaxy. They can detect a virus from 3 light-years away, and yet they keep exploding when they look at me, Jake pointed out. Maybe I'm not the problem here. Klepto was typing frantically on his datapad. Ambassador, We need to contact the Council immediately. If human biology is this chaotic, it could represent a fundamental threat to galactic stability. I'm just a guy. Jake protested. I eat sandwiches and forget to water my cactus and watch too much TV.
I'm not threatening anyone.
Dr. Fenwick held up a scanner display. According to this, your DNA contains retroviruses, bacterial symbiotes, and what appears to be borrowed genetic code from at least 8 different species. Is that bad? It's evidence of the most hostile evolutionary environment I've ever documented. Your ancestors didn't evolve. They survived. Yeah, Earth's kind of a mess, Jake agreed, but it's home. Thorvix and Klepto exchanged a long look. We're calling the Council, Thorvix decided. Am I in trouble? That depends entirely on whether the Council decides humans are an undiscovered superspecies or the galaxy's most elaborate practical joke. Jake thought about that. Can I finish my coffee first? By all the stars, yes, if only to see if the cup explodes. It didn't explode. Small miracles. The council chamber looked like someone asked an architect to design a courtroom, but the architect was having a really intense fever dream. Floating platforms. Holographic displays. Everywhere. And lighting that seems specifically designed to make everyone look dramatic and slightly menacing. Jake sat in what Klepto called the testimony sphere, which was just a fancy name for a force field bubble that made him feel like a hamster on display. This is ridiculous, Jake mothered. Please remain silent until addressed, Klepto whispered from outside the bubble. These are the 17 most powerful beings in known space. Try not to insult them. No promises. The council members materialized on their platforms. There was Vren, who looked like a floating brain in a jar, wearing a judge's wig. Chancellor Quib, a blob of nervous energy that kept shifting colors. And Gorath, who appeared to be a bipedal tiger made of muscles and bad attitude. Human Jake Morrison, Vren's voice resonated through the chamber. You stand before the Galactic Prosperity Council accused of representing a potentially catastrophic threat to civilized space. Ayun-clogged toilets, Jake said. How is that a threat? Your biological readings suggest otherwise, Quib interrupted, his form flickering orange with anxiety. In 3,000 years of galactic integration, we've never encountered a species whose mere existence causes technology to malfunction. Maybe your technology just isn't that good. Gorath's laugh sounded like rocks in a blender. Bold words from a species we could sterilize with a single warship. Cool threat. Very intimidating. Doesn't explain why your doctor's equipment keeps exploding when it looks at my blood. Vren consulted a holographic display. Dr. Fenwick's report suggests your biology contains evidence of extreme adaptive, redundant organ systems and cellular structures designed for surviving conditions that would kill most known species. This implies either natural weaponization or deliberate genetic modification. And hear me out, Earth just sucks, and we got good at not dying. Impossible, Quib declared. Natural evolution doesn't produce such aggressive survival characteristics without external pressure, exceeding normal parameters. Define normal, Jake challenged. Because Earth has lightning storms, volcanoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, tsunamis, droughts, ice ages, and a hole in the ozone layer. Oh, and Australia. Everything in Australia is actively trying to kill you. Australia, Vren queried his database. A continental region containing venomous mammals, aggressive marsupials, and what the data describes as spiders that hunt birds. This cannot be accurate. It's all accurate. We also have jellyfish that can stop your heart, fish that are covered in poisonous spikes, and octopi that can kill you with their spit. The council members exchanged glances. And humans just live there? Klepto asked. On purpose, some of us vacation there. Gorath leaned forward. What about your military capabilities? Your weapons?
Technology.
Our most advanced weapon is probably nuclear missiles. But honestly, we're more likely to hurt ourselves with those than anyone else. Last century, we almost started a war because a computer glitch mistook a training simulation for an actual attack. So you're incompetent and dangerous, Quib summarized. I prefer enthusiastically experimental, but sure. Vren pulled up more data. Your species consumes capsaicin for pleasure. Capsaicin is a chemical weapon compound that triggers pain receptors. Hot sauce is delicious. Don't judge me. You participate in activities called extreme sports that have documented fatality rates exceeding 0.3% annually. Yes, Steve from accounting went skydiving last month. Broke his leg. Still says it was worth it. This is madness, Quib said, cycling through several colors of distress. Deliberate exposure to harm for entertainment purposes suggests either a death wish or psychological conditioning for warfare. Or we're just bored easily and make poor choices. I once ate gas station sushi on a dare. That was its own kind of warfare. Gorath actually laughed at that. I'm starting to like this human. The question remains, Vren said, whether humanity represents a threat to galactic peace. Ambassador Thorvix has recommended probationary status pending further assessment. What does that mean? Jake asked. It means, Klepto explained, you must prove humans aren't secretly preparing to conquer the galaxy. We can barely organize a neighborhood watch. Galactic conquest seems overly ambitious. Nevertheless, you will undergo capability assessment, standard protocol for unknown species. Do I get a lawyer? You get Klepto as your observer. Try not to accidentally start a war. Jake looked at Klepto, who offered a weak, encouraging smile. My life is so weird now, Jake said. Welcome to galactic politics, Klepto replied. It gets worse. The testing facility looked like a gym designed by someone who never actually seen a gym but had heard scary stories about them. Obstacle courses, scanning equipment, and what appeared to be a room filled with ominous fog dominated the space. This is the standard capability assessment, explained Proctor Vix. A reptilian alien with too many eyes and a clipboard. We will evaluate your physical resilience, mental acuity, and threat potential. And if I refuse, your species gets classified as uncooperative and banned from galactic space. Great, no pressure, Jake muttered. Klepto stood in the observation booth, nervously, taking notes. Just do your best, Mr. Jake. Try not to die. Very encouraging. Thanks. Test 1. Toxicity resistance. Proctor Vix gestured toward the fog-filled room. This chamber contains atmospheric compounds lethal to most species. Please enter. Jake walked into the fog. It smelled like old gym socks and disappointment. He stood there for 30 seconds, waiting for something to happen. Well, he called out. Proctor Vix checked his instruments. You're supposed to be incapacitated by now. I'm just bored. The room contains Class 7 air. Jake took a deeper breath. Honestly, this smells better than the station's recycling deck. You guys need stronger chemicals. Vix consulted with Gorath, who'd arrived to observe. Perhaps his exposure threshold is simply elevated. Proceed to Test 2. Test 2 involved what they called a fatal injury simulation. They gave Jake a small cut on his finger with a sterile blade and monitored his response. That's it, Jake asked, looking at the tiny paper-cut-sized wound. That depth should trigger catastrophic bleeding in your species, Vix said, confused. It's a paper cut. Your database says humans have single-layer circulatory systems with no redundancy. Yeah, and we also have this thing called clotting factors. Jake watched the cut stop bleeding in about 15 seconds. See, already done. Vix made frantic notes. Impossible healing speed. Mark it as evidence of augmentation. Or just basic biology. Test 3 was the mental assessment. They put Jake in front of a quantum puzzle box that supposedly took most species hours to solve. The goal was to align patterns that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Jake stared at it for 2 minutes, randomly pushing buttons. The box opened. How did you solve it? Vix demanded. I didn't. I just pressed stuff until it unlocked. That's not how quantum mechanics work. Clearly it is, because the box is open. In the observation booth, Gorath was laughing. He's too stupid to predict. The AI couldn't calculate his moves because he wasn't actually thinking. I'm right here. I can hear you, Jake called out. It's not an insult. It's tactical brilliance. No strategy. No pattern. No way to anticipate. Test 4 involved endurance. They put Jake on a treadmill set to speeds that should exhaust most species in minutes. Jake lasted 40 minutes before getting bored and stopping. "I'm done," he announced. "Your cardiac rhythm is barely elevated," Vix protested. "You should be in respiratory distress. I'm from Colorado. The air is thin there. This is easy mode." "What is Colorado?" "A place where humans voluntarily live at high altitude for no good reason, other than the skiing is nice." Klepto was typing frantically. "Ambassador Thorvix needs to see this data immediately." Test 5 was the psychological evaluation. They showed Jake images designed to trigger fear, aggression, and other emotional responses while monitoring his brain activity. The first image was a massive predator, all teeth and claws. "Scary," Jake said, sounding bored. The second image was a natural disaster. Tragic. The third image was mathematical chaos meant to induce existential dread. "This just looks like my tax return." Vix threw his clipboard. "You're not reacting appropriately to any stimulus. Maybe your stimuli just aren't that stimulating. These images have caused trained warriors to flee in terror. I grew up with the internet. I've seen weirder stuff before breakfast." Gorath entered the testing floor, grinning his predatory grin. "I want to try something. Human, fight me." "Hard pass. It's not a request. I'm activating combat protocol." "I don't know what that means, but it sounds like a bad idea." Gorath, Lund, Jake, operating purely on instinct and panic, dove sideways, grabbed a nearby maintenance cart, and pushed it into Gorath's path. The warrior tripped, crashed into a wall, and came up laughing even harder. Improvisation weapon adaptation. 0 honor, but maximum effectiveness. "I'm not fighting you. I'm just trying not to die." Same thing in combat. Vix was reviewing all the data, his multiple eyes wide. Every test suggests advanced capability with psychological conditioning to downplay threats. Classic military deception training. Or I'm just a regular guy who's really confused right now. In the observation booth, Klepto watched Jake accidentally knock over another piece of equipment while trying to escape Gorath. "This is going to be a very long report," Klepto said to himself. The emergency council session convened 6 hours later. The observation deck was packed with representatives from dozens of species, all whispering and pointing at Jake, who sat in his testimony sphere looking like he wanted to be literally anywhere else. "Additional human vessels have been detected approaching this sector," Wren announced. "Before they arrive, we must determine the appropriate response to this species." "I vote quarantine," Quib said immediately, his form pulsing red with anxiety. "The assessment data is clear. Humans are either military assets or evolutionary weapons." "I vote integration," Gorath countered. "Any species this entertaining deserves a seat at the table." "This isn't about entertainment." Quib's color shifted to purple. "This is about safety. The human survived every test designed to measure threat capability." Jake raised his hand. "Can I say something?" "No," Wren said. "I'm saying it anyway." Jake stood up in his bubble. "You people are absolutely insane." The chamber went silent. "For 3 days, I've watched you scan, prod, test, and study me like I'm some kind of secret weapon. You've exploded equipment, triggered AI existential crises, and convinced yourselves that humans are hiding some grand military conspiracy. And you know what the really stupid part is? Careful, human," Wren warned. "I'm just some guy. I fix broken toilets on a mining station. I eat too much junk food. I forget to call my mom on her birthday. And I once got lost in my own apartment building. I'm not special. I'm not enhanced. I'm barely functional on good days. The data suggests otherwise." Quib insisted your data is wrong. Or, more specifically, your interpretation is wrong. Jake started pacing in his bubble. "You keep acting like everything weird about humans is intentional, like we designed ourselves to be this way. But we didn't. Earth did." He pointed at the display showing Earth's data. "You want to know why human biology breaks your scanners? Because we evolved on a planet that spent 4 billion years actively trying to kill everything on it. You think we drink poison for fun? No. We drink it because our ancestors discovered fermentation and accidentally got good at processing toxins. You think we heal fast? Try spending 1,000,000 years getting chased by predators with 5-inch claws. Dr. Fenwick entered the chamber, antennae drooping. Council, I've completed the comprehensive analysis. The human is, unfortunately, correct. Explain? Vren commanded. Earth is classified as a Class 9 hazard world, Fenwick said quietly. The only reason it is not Class 10 is because Class 10 planets are defined as incapable of supporting life. Earth barely qualifies. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. Fenwick continued. The planet has 6 major extinction events in its history. Tectonic instability, causing regular, catastrophic earthquakes, atmospheric composition that was literally poisonous for most of its existence, and a predator-prey. Ecosystems so aggressive that humans developed persistence, hunting because they could unevolve fast enough to catch their food normally. Persistence hunting? Klepto asked. They chase prey until it dies of exhaustion. It can take hours. Humans are long-distance endurance predators. That's horrifying, someone whispered. It gets worse, Fenwick said. Human infants are born deliberately premature because if they developed any longer, their heads would be too large to survive birth. They're helpless for years. The species compensated by evolving complex social structures, advanced communication, and the ability to teach cumulative knowledge across generations. So they're fragile? Quib asked hopefully. No, they're anti-fragile. Stress makes them stronger. Their muscles literally tear and rebuild denser. Their bones break and heal tougher. Their immune systems learn from diseases. They adapted to surviving by getting better at surviving. Jake nodded. We're not weapons. We're cockroaches. Really persistent. Kind of dumb cockroaches who figured out agriculture and Netflix. What is Netflix? Gorath asked. Entertainment delivery system. Not important right now. Vren was reviewing Earth's geological data. Your planet has an active molten core that generates magnetic fields protecting against radiation. Most species require artificial shielding for that level of protection. Yeah, and we still get sunburns, Jake said, because our planet is trying to kill us, even with the protection. Your oceans contain megafauna larger than some of our ships, another council member noted. Blue whales are pretty chill. Actually, it's the tiny stuff you have to worry about. Mosquitoes kill more humans annually than any large predator. Why would you tolerate such creatures? We can't kill them all. Believe me, we've tried. They evolve resistance faster than we can develop new poisons. The council looked at each other. So humans aren't a military threat, Quib said slowly. They're just accidentally terrifying because their planet is a nightmare. Pretty much, Jake agreed. And the aggression? The risk-taking behavior? Vren asked. Boredom and poor impulse control. When everything is trying to kill you, you develop a skewed sense of what counts as danger. Fenwick nodded. It's actually remarkable they develop civilization at all. Most species from hazard worlds never make it past tribal structures. They're too busy surviving. We got lucky, Jake said. And stubborn. Mostly stubborn. Gorath was grinning. I like them even more now. 3 hours of debate later, the council reached a decision. Humanity will be granted provisional membership in the Galactic Prosperity Council, Vren announced. However, Earth will be classified as a restricted zone, and all human worlds will carry hazard warnings for diplomatic visitors. That seems fair, Jake said. Additionally, Vren continued, humans will be prohibited from military service and council forces. Wait, what? Why? Because our soldiers would either be inspired by your recklessness or traumatized by it, and we can't risk either outcome. Gorath laughed. I'm already traumatized, and I only watched you for 3 days. There will be cultural integration protocols, Klepto added, reading from his datapad. Humans must attend mandatory safety briefings before visiting non-hazard worlds. Your food must be clearly labeled as potentially toxic. And you'll be required to inform medical facilities of your species before treatment, so they can use equipment you won't accidentally destroy. Do I get to go home now? Jake asked. Actually, Thorvik said, stepping forward. The council has appointed you as Earth's interim ambassador. Jake stared. You're joking. You survived first contact, represented your species adequately, and you're already here. Congratulations. I don't want to be an ambassador. I want to go back to my station and fix toilets and drink bad coffee. The job comes with a ship, Klepto offered. I don't know how to fly a ship. The ship flies itself. You just have to show up to meetings and try not to start wars. Jake thought about this. Do I get paid? 17,000 credits annually, plus hazard pay for operating in council space. How much is hazard pay? For humans, double your salary. So I'd make 34,000 credits for showing up and not starting wars? Correct. Jake considered his current job, which paid significantly less and involved significantly more actual toilet Fine. But I have conditions. Vren looked suspicious. What conditions? Earth needs a direct communication relay with council space, and trade agreements for what ULL probably think is weird stuff, but we LL think is normal. Such as coffee. Real coffee, not synthetic, and unrestricted internet access. The council members consulted with each other. What is coffee? Quib asked. A mildly addictive stimulant beverage made from roasted seeds, Dr. Fenwick explained. Humans consume it in quantities that would induce cardiac arrests in most species. Of course they do, Vren muttered. An internet. Information network, used for communication, education, and sharing images of small animals. That seems harmless enough. You haven't seen the internet, Jake warned. It's basically humanity's collective consciousness, and it's 40% cats. 30%. Hogawans. And 30% stuff I can't mention in polite company. Noted we'll establish diplomatic filters. Good luck with that. Klepto handed Jake a datapad. This contains your official credentials, living quarters assignment, and a guide to council protocols. Try to read it. No promises. Thorvik stepped forward, offering a formal gesture that looked like a salute mixed with a bow. Ambassador Morrison, on behalf of the council, welcome to galactic civilization. Jake returned the gesture, nearly dropping his coffee thermos in the process. Thanks. This is either the best or worst day of my life, and I honestly couldn't tell which. It's both, Gorth said cheerfully. Welcome to politics. As the council session ended and delegates began filing out, Klepto walked alongside Jake toward the exit. So what happens now? Jake, ask it. Now we prepare for the rest of humanity to arrive. Based on your example, we're estimating somewhere between complete chaos and mild catastrophe. That sounds about right. The council is also preparing informational materials. Understanding Humans, a survival guide, is currently in development. I'd read that. Probably learn something about myself. They reached Jake's new quarters, which were surprisingly nice. Actual windows showing real space, a bed that didn't look like a medieval torture device, and a kitchen area that might actually have appliances he recognized. One more thing, Klepto said. The council wanted me to ask. What do humans want? Long term. I mean, what are your species' goals for galactic integration? Jake thought about Earth, about humanity's chaotic history, about how they'd somehow survived everything the universe threw at them through sheer stubbornness and dumb luck. Honestly, we just want to see what's out here. Explore. Learn. Make friends, hopefully. Maybe find out we're not the weirdest thing in the universe. Though based on this week, that might be hoping for too much. Klepto smiled. You're definitely in the top 5 weirdest. I'll take it as Klepto left. Jake stood at the window, looking out at the vast expanse of space and the alien ships moving through it. Somewhere out there, Earth was spinning along, completely unaware that humanity had just joined the galactic community through the galaxy's most awkward first contact. His datapad buzzed. A message from the station. Morrison, where are you? The toilets in Sector 4 are backing up again. Jake smiled, typed back a reply. Got promoted. Find someone else. Then he poured himself a cup of coffee, sat down at his new desk, and started reading the Council Protocols Guide. He made it 3 pages before deciding he'd need significantly more coffee. Being humanity's representative to the stars was going to be exhausting, but at least the pay was good.